Have you ever had a day that was perfectly fine until one small thing went wrong? Maybe it was a critical comment from your boss, a strange look from a friend, or an unexpected bill. The event itself is over in minutes, but your mind replays it for hours, maybe even days. Why does that happen? It's because our brains are often described as being like Velcro for bad experiences and Teflon for good ones. That single negative moment sticks, while a dozen positive ones slide right off. But what if I told you that this isn't a life sentence? What if there was a way to gently unhook yourself from the past, not by fighting it, but by understanding it? In this journey together today, we are going to do more than just talk about letting go. We are going to explore the hidden reason your mind holds on to pain so idly. You will learn a simple, practical, guided technique that you can use anytime, anywhere, to release the emotional weight of a memory. And most importantly, you'll discover how this one gentle shift in perspective doesn't just change your past. It unlocks a more peaceful, creative, and joyful future, starting right now. Think of your life's experiences like items you carry in a backpack. The happy moments are light, like feathers, but the painful ones, the betrayals, the failures, the regrets, they are like heavy stones. Over time, without us even noticing, this invisible backpack gets heavier and heavier, slowing us down and draining our energy. This isn't just a metaphor. It's the story of so many of us. It's the story of a young boy named Ishan who carried every single wound from his past until one day, the weight became too much to bear. So let's start our journey by gently opening that invisible backpack and looking at what's truly inside. When a painful memory appears in the mind, what is our first instinct? It's to push it away. We tell ourselves, "I'm just not going to think about it," or "I have to be strong and get over this." We call it control. We believe that by ignoring or suppressing a feeling, we are mastering it. It's like someone who's just gone through a bad breakup. They dive into work, parties, anything to keep busy, convincing themselves and everyone else that I'm fine. But this is one of the most common and exhausting mistakes on the healing journey. We are confusing suppression with true control, suppressing a memory, just like trying to hold that ball underwater. The more energy you use to keep it down, the more explosively it shoots up when you least expect it. That's why an old sadness can suddenly rush in during a happy moment, or a flash of unexplainable anger can ignite over something small. The energy you're using to run from the past is poisoning your present. And here is the small but vital lesson. True control isn't about forcing our feelings away. It's about changing our relationship to them. So if pushing the pain away doesn't work, what does? The answer is surprisingly simple, and it begins with understanding the true nature of this weight we carry. This reminds me of a wise old man and a simple glass of water. This story is about Ishan, the boy carrying the invisible backpack full of stones from his past. One afternoon, he visited his grandfather, a man known for his simple yet profound advice. Ishan poured out his heart, and instead of the usual words of comfort, his grandfather listened in silence, then handed him a glass of water. "Hold this," he said. Ishan took it, thinking it was an easy task. A minute passed, then 5. His arm began to ache. After 10 minutes, it began to throb with pain. He looked at his grandfather, who simply smiled and asked, "Did the glass get any heavier?" "No," Ishan replied, "but the longer I hold it, the heavier it seems to become." And that is the simple truth about our painful memories. Their weight isn't in the event itself, but in the length of time we hold on to it. But there's a layer to this that goes even deeper. It's not just about time, it's about your energy and your focus. When one of your hands is busy holding the glass, you can't use that hand for anything else. Likewise, when your mind is busy holding an old memory, you can't use it to be fully present. The energy you spend replaying an old argument is the energy you can't use to listen to your loved ones tonight. The focus you give to a past failure is the focus you can't give to your new project. And here is the lesson. The true weight of a memory is measured not in how painful it was, but in how much of your present it consumes. So if holding on is the problem, what does letting go actually mean? Is it possible to just forget? The answer might surprise you. It isn't about erasing the memory, but about changing its form. When we talk about forgetting, our minds often jump to the idea of deleting a memory, like erasing a file from a computer. But the human mind doesn't work that way, and that's actually good news. True letting go isn't amnesia. It is the subtle art of separating two things: the event that happened and the emotion that we have attached to that event. The event is an unchangeable fact. It's a part of your story. But the feelings attached to it, things like pain, anger, and shame, that is something we can change our relationship with. Think about when you first learned to ride a bike. You probably remember falling down. That's the event. But do you still feel the sting on your knee or the embarrassment of that moment? Likely not. The emotional charge has long been released. A memory that you've truly released is like a healed scar. It's proof that you were wounded. It's proof that you survived. And most importantly, it's proof that you have healed. It no longer hurts when it's touched. And so, here is the lesson. Our goal is not to have a life with no scars. The goal is to have scars that no longer hurt. This might sound wonderful in theory, but how do we actually do it? How do we begin to neutralize that emotional charge and help our scars to heal? Fortunately, we don't have to just wish for it. There are gentle, practical exercises we can do right here, right now. Let's begin with the first one, a beautiful meditation practice known as leaves on a stream. Our first practice is a guided meditation, inspired by acceptance and commitment therapy, a modern psychological approach. It's called Leaves on a Stream. The goal here is not to empty your mind. That's impossible. The goal is to practice a new skill, the skill of observing your thoughts and memories without getting swept away by them. There is no wrong way to do this exercise, so be gentle with yourself. For now, if you can, just find a comfortable position, either sitting or lying down. Gently close your eyes if that feels right for you, or simply rest your gaze on a spot on the floor. Now, let's begin by taking a deep breath in and slowly breathing out. Imagine yourself sitting beside a clear, gently flowing stream in a beautiful forest. Hear the sound of the water. See the sunlight filtering through the canopy. Now, notice the leaves floating gently on the surface. Our practice is simple. Each time a thought, an image, or a memory arises in your mind, just gently place it on one of the leaves and watch as that leaf slowly floats down the stream until it drifts out of sight. Don't try to rush the stream, just observe. Another thought arrives, maybe a word, a feeling, a worry. Place it on another leaf and let it go. If your mind wanders, that's perfectly normal. Just gently guide your attention back to the stream and the leaves. Just continue for a few more moments. And now, when you're ready, slowly bring your awareness back into the room. Take one final, deep breath and gently open your eyes. You see, the point of the exercise wasn't to empty your mind. The point was to realize that you are not your thoughts. You are the observer, the one sitting on the riverbank, watching them pass by. This space between you and your thoughts, that is where your freedom lies. Meditation is a powerful tool, but it's not the only one in our healing toolkit. Sometimes, the energy of a memory is so strong that we need a more active, tangible way to process it. For those moments, there is another beautiful practice, a practice of writing to release. If meditation is like watching clouds pass in the sky, then writing is like taking one of those clouds and turning it into rain. It's more active, more tangible. The power of writing is that it takes the chaotic, invisible thoughts in our heads and gives them a concrete form on the page. Once a memory is written down, it's no longer a ghost that haunts us. It becomes an object we can observe, understand, and ultimately have a dialogue with. All you need for this practice is a pen and some paper, or a blank computer screen. And most importantly, a willingness to be honest with yourself. The process has 3 simple steps. Step 1. The uncensored drain. Just write. Write everything about the memory. What did you feel? What really happened? What did you say? What did they say? Don't worry about grammar or spelling or if it makes sense. This is your page, for your eyes only. Let it all out. Step 2. The lesson extraction. After you feel you've written it all out, take a deep breath and ask yourself one question. What did this experience, as painful as it was, teach me? Maybe it was a lesson about setting boundaries, about your self-worth, or about the strength of your resilience. Look for the pearl of wisdom in the mud of the pain. Step 3. The statement of release. Finally, write a single powerful sentence to close, a declaration that you are choosing to move forward. For example, I have learned from this, and I now release the emotional weight it holds over me. You see, this practice isn't just about complaining on paper. It's an act of alchemy. You are taking the raw material of your pain and transforming it into the gold of wisdom. It gives you the power of the narrator in your own life story. And the lesson here is this: your story does not define you, but your ability to rewrite its meaning does. Now that you have these two powerful tools in your toolkit, meditation and writing, you might be wondering, do I need to release every painful memory? Or are some of them meant to be kept as lessons? That's a crucial question, and it's exactly what we're going to explore next. How to tell the difference between a lesson and a burden. So now, you have two tools in your hands: meditation and writing. But the question arises, which memories should we use them on? Does every painful memory need to be released? The answer is no. Not all painful memories are created equal. Some of them are burdens. They are just dead weight. But others are lessons. They are strict but valuable teachers. Think of a traveler. A heavy, useless rock in their backpack is clearly a burden. But a map, even if it's old and worn from a difficult journey, is a priceless lesson. Our goal isn't to throw everything out of our backpack, but to learn how to tell the difference between the rocks and the maps. So how do you tell the difference? Use this little test. Pick a memory and ask yourself these 3 questions. 1. When I think about this, does it make me feel wiser or just smaller? 2. Does this memory empower me to make better choices in the future, or does it paralyze me with fear? And 3. Is this a story I tell to explain my strength, or is it an excuse I use to justify my limitations? For example, the memory of a failed business might be painful, but it makes you wiser about finances. It empowers you to build better next time. That's a lesson. But the memory of a cruel comment someone made about your appearance years ago, does it make you wiser? No. Does it empower you? No. It likely paralyzes you with self-doubt. That is a burden. And the lesson here is simple. Burdens are meant to be released. Lessons are meant to be integrated. Once you've identified a memory as a pure burden, especially one tied to the actions of another person, the path to releasing it often leads to one of the most powerful and misunderstood concepts in our healing journey: forgiveness. The word forgiveness is a heavy one. When we hear it, we often feel a sense of resistance, because it sounds as if we're being asked to say that what happened was acceptable, that our pain didn't matter. But that is not what true forgiveness is about. Forgiveness is not a gift you give to the person who hurt you. It is a gift you give to yourself. It is the ultimate act of radical self-care. It's not about letting them off the hook for what they did. It's about taking yourself off of their hook so you can finally be free. Do you remember the glass of water? Holding on to resentment is like refusing to put down the glass, hoping that the other person will somehow feel your thirst. It doesn't work. Forgiveness is the conscious and deliberate act of putting that glass down, regardless of what the other person does or doesn't do. For example, holding a grudge against a family member for years over something they said at a holiday dinner. The anger eats away at you, while the other person may have long forgotten. Forgiveness isn't necessarily about confronting them. It's the internal decision. I will no longer allow that moment from 10 years ago to ruin my peace today. And the lesson is this: forgiveness is the key that unlocks our own prison, a prison we didn't even realize we were living in. When we finally put down these heavy stones of resentment through forgiveness, our backpack becomes lighter than ever. And with that lightness, something amazing begins to happen. It creates a ripple effect, transforming not just our inner world, but our daily lives in ways we might not expect. Letting go of a single heavy stone isn't just about making your backpack lighter. It's like dropping a pebble into a still pond. The ripples spread out and touch every shore of your life. This is the ripple effect of healing. When you free up the mental energy that was trapped in holding on to the past, that energy is now free to nourish your present. You might notice you sleep more soundly because your mind isn't wrestling with ghosts at 3 a.m. At work, you might find new ideas flowing more easily because the channels of your mind are no longer clogged with old resentments. And in your relationships, you begin to listen more deeply to your partner because you aren't mentally replaying an argument from 5 years ago while they're speaking. Gradually, these aren't just small changes. It becomes a new way of being. You stop driving through life by looking in the rearview mirror. Instead, you start to look through the wide, clear windshield at the road ahead. You can still glance at the mirror to learn from where you've been, but your main focus is on where you are going. And here is the ultimate lesson of this transformation. Letting go doesn't erase your past, it reclaims your future. This transformation from living in the past to being present for your future sounds profound, and it is. But it doesn't begin with a giant leap. It begins with a single, small, intentional step. A commitment you can make to yourself, right here, right now. Our journey today started by looking inside an invisible backpack. Together, we learned that trying to suppress our pain is just an illusion of control. We redefined what it means to let go, not as erasing a memory, but as detaching its emotional weight. You've been equipped with the powerful healing tools of meditation and writing, learned how to distinguish a lesson from a burden, and discovered the liberating power of forgiveness. Your first step isn't to empty the entire backpack at once. That's overwhelming. Your first step for today is simply this: to choose one stone. Just one. You don't have to throw it away. You don't have to analyze it. Just acknowledge its presence. Feel its weight in your hand for a moment, and simply say, I see you. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, and the journey to a lighter life begins with acknowledging a single stone. This conversation doesn't have to end here. This is just the beginning. If you're ready to continue this journey of healing, of understanding, and of living a lighter, more peaceful life, then I warmly invite you to become a part of our community. Subscribe to Dharma Glow and hit the notification bell so you never miss a moment that might change your perspective or even your life. Let's grow, heal, and rise together.